Why in the world did the Boston Celtics give up Jaylen Brown? Why were they so dead set on getting rid of Jaylen Brown? Jaylen Brown, who arguably, not even, you know what, let's not play the game since he is now a former Celtic. He was the team's best player. Not just this past season when it was obvious because Tatum was out. Even when they won the chip, even when they won the Larry O.B., Jaylen Brown was the better player, was the Celtics' best player. Tatum's the face. He's the name. He's the one that pushes jersey sales. And we can get into the real reason as to why that is one day. But when it came down to basketball skills, as much as we can kill Jaylen Brown for the lack of a left hand, and that certainly was a thing, still kind of low-key is a thing, but he certainly has gotten better. But why would the Celtics trade their best player? This isn't for basketball reasons. Let's start that off rip. This is not about basketball. Brad Stevens, the boy genius, does not think they're a better basketball team today than they were yesterday. There is no scenario that you could point to me and tell me and sell to me that MAGA Mitch Rob and Pandemic P are better for Jason Tatum than Jaylen Brown and even Nikola Vucevic. They're going to sell you that this is about basketball. This move is not about basketball. This is about money. This is about money, and this is not even about salary cap. This ain't no Kawhi thing of circumventing the cap. This is the Celtics are being run by a private equity firm. And that private equity firm has its hands all over this deal. Because there is no basketball reason you could give me as to why you would trade Jaylen Brown and all you get back in return is Paul George. So Celtics have agreed to trade Jaylen Brown to the 76ers for Paul George, 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. So those picks are a 2028 first-round pick that could convert from a first to a swap that is more favorable to Boston, a 2031 unprotected Philadelphia first-round pick, a 2028 second-round pick, the more favorable of Golden State, Oklahoma City, and Milwaukee. You would like to think from that trio it will be Milwaukee. And a 2030 second-round pick, again, most favorable, of Washington, Portland, Phoenix. If that's all it's going to be, you just gave away your best player. And I know we get caught up in the minutia of what is better, what is best. Jaylen Brown was, it's hard to say that in the past tense, but here we are, was the Celtics' best player because he was a two-way player. Jason Tatum can play defense, but he cannot play defense like Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum is an offensive player. He think he Kobe for real, for real. Jaylen Brown played his role. Two-way player. I take the other team's best offensive player, and I'm going to still go get my 20, and I'll give the ball to Jason Tatum, let him do his thing to make sure he gets his 25. This is not about basketball. And to further confirm the story that it's really not really about basketball, look at these contract numbers. If you look at these contract numbers, the remaining contract, it kind of equals out. And the Celtics save almost $3 million this year alone by trading Jaylen Brown for Paul George. And they could get out from underneath of the Paul George deal next year when it's an expiring deal, assuming he opts in for his player option. And yes, the Celtics are saving almost $3 million this year, but it's not even about that $3 million. If you start to break this down, right? June Lee's done some good reporting. He used to work at the 4-Letter Network. He's kind of in that Pablo Torre bag where he's getting into his investigative journalism bag. June Lee has broken down the T. Because this makes a lot of sense if you read it as such. You hold back on trading draft picks for Giannis because remember, the alleged deal to try to go get the Nigerian freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, was Jaylen Brown and only 2 first-round picks. And that was it. So you hold back on trading draft picks for Giannis, who likely would have wanted an extension and cost more money than Jaylen. And then you trade Jaylen Brown as a salary dump for Pandemic P to save $60+ million in the middle of Tatum's prime. This is why you can't believe everything you're being told. Because I think that second part is factual as opposed to what the Celtics allegedly were putting on the table to try to go get Giannis. I don't think the Milwaukee Bucks ever took seriously Jaylen Brown and a couple of picks for Giannis. They wanted a lot more than that. That could have been a good first conversation, a good first starter, a good first offer that you know is not going to be accepted, so you just put it out there. But there's no way, I would certainly hope, there's no way that Brad Stevens really thought he could get the Nigerian freak for Jaylen Brown and a couple of picks. And let me even go deeper into it. Was the Giannis deal that we were told was the deal? Did the Bucks ever actually seriously consider that? I think the answer is no, because they came back and countered, and they wanted some young pieces in addition to Jaylen Brown and 2 first-round picks. And if you even want to get even deeper into it, the Bucks co-owner, or one of the owners of the Bucks, is Jimmy Haslam. If that name sounds familiar to you, it should. Jimmy Haslam also owns the Cleveland Browns. And Jimmy Haslam is tired of dealing with superstars and their trade demands and their salary demands and et cetera, et cetera. So, in a span of a month, he got rid of not only the Nigerian freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, with the team that he co-owns in the Bucks, but he also got rid of Myles Garrett with the Cleveland Browns. So this is purely about money. This has nothing to do with basketball. The boy genius is going to stand at the dais. He's going to stand there with Joe Mazzulla, and they're going to try to tell you that they're going to be a better team. But the only way the Celtics are going to be a better team is in the ledger, is in the financial ledger, is at the bank account, is with the salary guys, the treasury guys, the capologists. Those are the only people that are happy about this Jaylen Brown deal. The private equity firm is doing backflips. This is the Celtics owner. He is the owner on paper. He is the public face. Bill Chisholm. Bill Chisholm didn't have the bread when the public got first wind that he was buying the Celtics. He didn't have the bread. He was short on the funds. So he got with a private equity firm to give him the bread. In exchange for that, he had to cough up a majority of the power in the ownership hierarchy with this private equity firm. Now, once it was announced that he was going to be the face of this ownership group, he then got some more investors involved and got some bread. And then that kind of balanced the scales, and the league approved it because the league did not like the fact that this private equity firm was putting up more bread than the dude that was supposed to be the face of the ownership group. Bringing in private equity firms, all they're trying to do is cut costs, increase profitability, decrease overhead. That is what private equity firms do, and they are creeping into sports in a major way. And that's why a lot of these contracts are just being moved, cut, dumped. This is what happens in corporate America. A company gets bought out by another company, they immediately gut the staff of the company that just got bought. But then at the end of the year, the numbers are crazy. The profits are crazy because you just gutted the whole staff. So you saved a lot of money in cutting all those people. It's the same thing in this private equity space when it comes to sports. Jaylen Brown want how much? Oh, we can't do that. All right, we'll flip him for Pandemic P. His contract comes off the books in a year or two, right? Bet. Let's do that. Because Jaylen Brown wanted an extension, allegedly. So again, like June Lee said earlier, you hold back on trading draft picks for Giannis, who would have wanted an extension and would have cost way more money than Jaylen Brown. But then you trade Jaylen Brown as a salary dump for a Pandemic P to save $60+ million in the middle of Jason Tatum's prime. Which one is it? Is it Uchiwali or is it one Mike? The report that we got saying that the Celtics only offered Jaylen Brown and a couple of firsts, was that even ever legitimate? As much as we could talk about Missoula, as much as we could talk about Brad Stevens, as much as we could talk about Jason Tatum, the people who are actually cutting the check is what matters. And those people want to save bread, no matter what the expense is, even getting rid of the best player on the team.